they like scavengers, they're hyenas. You feel me? I would have liked George Camboso or if I say Lomachenko to fight Shakur Stevenson. Because then they'll be doing something different, right? Shakur Stevenson is a three-division world champion. He did fight for the vacant title, the WBC vacant title versus.
So there he is. He just told on himself. So Lomachenko has to fight Shakur Stevenson for the vacant title. But yet, he just told you. Shakur Stevenson just fought for the vacant WBC title. Also a scavenger, chasing after Devin Haney's titles that Devin Haney obviously dropped. So what's the difference between Shakur Stevenson fighting for a vacant WBC title against a guy who's never been a world champion, and Lomachenko fighting a unified champion who he was supposed to fight already in Australia? Obviously, because of the war in the Ukraine, that fight was canceled, and then Devin Haney ended up taking his position, to fighting Kambosos for the vacant IBF title. See, this is the problem with a lot of YouTube boxing channels. It's this different energy they have for different fighters, right? So Shakur can fight a guy who's never been a world champion for a vacant title and be praised for fighting him, even though the performance obviously was criticized because it didn't live up to expectations. Now Lomachenko, who's also a three-weight world champion, yet for him to become a three-weight world champion, he beat Ring Magazine's #1 fighter at the time in Linares, not for a vacant title, but for a defended title, a title that Linares was defending for the 7th time when Lomachenko beat him. So you can see the clear difference between the way Lomachenko became a three-weight world champion and Shakur did. And I'm not trying to pit Loma versus Shakur. That's a fight I expect to happen in the future. But it's this energy, this perception that many people are putting out there, this underlying anti-Lomachenko kind of narrative that we see from many of these channels on YouTube. Breaking news. Well, this ain't breaking news. Lomachenko taking the easy route. So Lomachenko fighting Kambosos is the easy route. Yet how exactly did Devin Haney become the undisputed champion? I guess he became the undisputed champion by taking the easy route, because he went to Australia and also fought Kambosos in Australia to become the undisputed champion. Right? Was it the easy route when Devin Haney did it? Was it the easy route when Shakur fought De Los Santos for the vacant WBC title? Was it the easy route when Canelo Alvarez decided to fight Charlo coming up 2 weight divisions? Was it the easy route when David Benavidez fought Demetrius Andrade, a fighter who's never fought a world champion before that fight? Was that the easy route? Right? This is the problem. This kind of narrative people push. We know why he titled the video like this. Because he knows there's a lot of anti-Lomachenko sentiment in the US. And a lot of those people will be drawn to his video. And of course, the people that are fans of Lomachenko, they'll be drawn too. Why? Drawn because they will be angry with the narrative that's being pushed. Instead of just talking about the fact that Lomachenko is going to Australia to face George Kambosos, 2 3-belt unified champions, both who lost to Devin Haney. Why is that a criticism? To take on one of the vacant titles. We see people winning vacant titles all the time. Boots Ennis just won a vacant title. He ducked a fight with Bud Crawford in December to be given a vacant title in September. We saw Tim Tszyu get a vacant title. Not his fault. He fought exactly who he had to fight to put himself in position to become the mandatory for Charlo. Charlo chose to go fight Canelo for a payday, thus allowing Tim Tszyu to win a vacant title for not fighting anybody. Like, as boxing fans, of course we prefer fighters to actually beat champions to claim titles. That ultimately is what boxing is all about. But we know that financially and marketability, having a title, regardless of how you earned it or how you got it, is obviously something that's beneficial to you as a fighter. It's beneficial to your brand. It's beneficial to your contract that you signed with your promoter, where you're guaranteed more money when you're a world champion. So all these things obviously are things you need to check off your list as a professional fighter moving forward. So I do recognize that, and I do understand the significance. But it's this easy route that this guy's pushing. This kind of narrative, as if Shakur could go the easy route, and that's okay. Haney could go the easy route, and that's okay. Tank Davis was just elevated by the WBA, getting an email title, obviously taking the easy route to win his second official world title or weight class, and that's okay. But Lomachenko fighting Kambosos, that's the easy route.
And I know a lot of people didn't like his performance because it wasn't boring, it was not entertaining. Yeah, at the end of the day, he became a 3-division world champion, and that we should not, the boxing world should not overshadow his accomplishment. A 3-division world champion at the age of 25, 26 years old is a great accomplishment. You know what I'm saying? That Edgar dos Santos was a credible, a highly credible opponent as well. Now, a lot of people's mad at Shakur Stevenson, but what about Edgar dos Santos? What did he do in that fight because he was fighting for a vacant title. He was fighting for a championship as well. That he really wanted that bad. You know what I'm saying? Threw the less punches in copy box, 39 years, something history or something like that. But whatever. Anyway, but saying Lomachenko and George Kambosos, I think that one of them should have fought Shakur Stevenson. George Kambosos, Shakur Stevenson been ducked by Pitbull Cruz, been ducked by Frank Martin, been ducked by avoided by Devin Haney, but you can't say he really avoided by Devin Haney because Devin Haney went up there and dared to be great, right, and fight Regis Progress.
But he was ducked. See, this is another narrative, right? Let's just look at the way Devin Haney is protected from not fighting his mandatory. Shakur Stevens was mandated by the WBC. That was the fight the WBC wanted Devin Haney to take at 135 pounds to defend his undisputed titles. Yet he is given the benefit of the doubt because he fought Regis Prograis, daring to be great, only in his second weight division. Lomachenko was daring to be great, fighting Teofimo Lopez for undisputed 135-pound championship in his third weight division. Yet he was scrutinized and criticized for ducking Devin Haney, his mandatory. How do you duck your mandatory when you're fighting for undisputed unification? I know that's not the way things panned out because of the politics of boxing, but in fairness to Lomachenko and Lopez, that inevitably is what they were trying to do. That was their goal, and that was why that fight was created. And even if it didn't officially become for undisputed, it was still a unification fight, thus trumping any mandatory, especially with an untested fighter who never even beat a top 10 caliber opponent yet at 135 pounds. But Lomachenko was criticized consistently, still is criticized for ducking Devin Haney. Whereas Devin Haney blatantly just ducked Shakur Stevenson, even lowballed an offer to him. So basically saying that if you act like my bitch, I'll give you the fight. But if you come into it actually expecting to be treated fairly, I'm just going to drop all my titles and go run off to 140 pounds to fight Regis Prograis. And no matter how you want to fucking chalk this up, Regis Prograis is no fucking Lomachenko. Regis Prograis is no Shakur Stevenson. He never has been, he never will be. He's a fighter that has never accomplished what those fighters have done and is never going to be recognized as good as either one of them. So that's something you got to pay attention to, right? But this is just the problem I have with many of these YouTube channels. right? This is a guy who has dick rode for Demetrius Andrade like it's nobody's fucking business. The same Demetrius Andrade that took the easy route in every single world title he earned. Both of them, vacant titles. Never beating a world champion to claim his 154-pound title or his 168-pound or 160-pound title. And if he had his way, he would have claimed the 168-pound title in a vacant route as well. Because when did he ever show any interest in actually fighting world champions? Past, present, or future? Never did. And when he did, we saw what happened to him. He got his ass beat like fucking crazy. Far worse than Caleb Plant did. But that was the guy everyone was ducking. That was the guy he was fanboying for. So Lomachenko's taking the easy route. What the fuck has Demetrius Andrade done his whole career? Right? Boxing fans, boxing media, boxing YouTube, they just got to stop shooting themselves in their foot consistently by pushing this blatant hypocrisy, which is very easy and obvious, and everybody can recognize when it happens because you said it and we heard you, and we can see the way you treat this story, the way you've treated other stories, and see a complete difference in approach. For me, I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else, but I'm better than everybody else. But, you know, everybody should be confident. I'm not saying that I don't push narratives, but I don't push narratives. The reality of the situation is Lomachenko fighting Kambosos is a solid fight. This is the same Kambosos that beat Lopez. This is the same Kambosos that was a great opponent for Devin Haney that elevated him on the pound-for-pound list. And if that's the case, then it's a great opponent for Lomachenko, coming off of a loss, right? Lomachenko's the one coming off of a loss. And expecting Lomachenko to fight Shakur for a vacant title while allowing Shakur to fight a guy who's never been a world champion for a vacant title, that shows a clear bias, a clear double standard. I never hated on Shakur for fighting De Los Santos, so I'm not going to hate on Lomachenko for fighting George Kambosos, a guy who probably is and will be a more accomplished fighter than De Los Santos ever will be. Not to say that he'd beat De Los Santos if they actually matched up, but De Los Santos is probably never going to be a 3-belt unified champion. Is probably never going to be a guy that some people ranked on their pound-for-pound lists for a short period of time. And is probably never going to get a win as significant